Well, I never thought I would do this, okay? Never. Ever, 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 never. Welcome into my Witcher 3 100% review. Now, before I start, I'm using the Digital Foundry video. Just, next gen comparison, stuff like that, so you have something in the background. Let me just start off by this, right? I played Witcher 3 at launch on PS3. Oh, PS3, PS4. I beat it. I beat the first expansion in 2016, so about maybe 8-10 months after launch. It was before Blood and Wine. Now, for whatever reason, I never played Blood and Wine. Basically, almost like this playthrough right now is way different when I did my playthrough originally, right? Obviously, this is a PC game mostly, right? CD Projekt games are just way better on PC. And I played this game on 30 frames, it was dropping and all that stuff, launch issues. So when I played this, over 7 years later, almost 8 years later, there's a big difference. Especially now when I started after the big patch, next gen patch, which also hit PC where I played it. I did try it on PS5 and I was like, it's only 10 euros on PC with all DLC. I just want to try it on PC because I always heard this game is way better on PC, right? Same thing with like Cyberpunk. I got platinum on PS4, PS4 version on PS5, but I still want to replay it on PC just because their games are just better on PC. Now, let me start off by saying this. The one thing holding me back playing this game all these years was the gameplay. Every time I came back, I was like, oh, I can't do this. The gameplay were aged, which it did. The gameplay is actually the worst aspect coming back all these years later. But there's a big but. There's a big but. Playing this game again in 2022 or 2023, should I say? Because I actually started playthrough before New Year, but I played like 90% of the game this year. Well, not mostly this year. You have to like get used to the first maybe 15 levels. If you want to play this game, the first 15 levels are gonna be pretty rough. Unless you do the New Game Plus, you can actually start the Blood and Wine DLC and then just reload that. So you can like cheese away to start New Game Plus, right? But that's not fun. The first 15 levels were rough. However, after that, the gameplay becomes manageable. You do some new stuff like that. And you just have to take it with a grain of salt, the first maybe 15 levels. It did everybody. Like, what can you do, right? What can you do? However, main game. Let's start with the main game because I played this before. The story is still there. The story is why I remember this game being very, very good back in 2015. The story and characters are like what make this game. Obviously, the world is incredible too. And also, I feel like there is a lot of fetch quests, right? That's a big downgrade with the game. There's like markers in the game. But I don't feel like you have to do them. You don't have to go to every question mark and do everything. They're just there if you just happen to go there, right? But the activities in the world reminds me more of, let's say, I think this game is more comparable to like Red Dead 2, where it's like the world feels really alive. Or like Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild, those are more like you can do what you want when you want, which obviously you can do here, but it's limited how you can do it because you can't go to any place, do anything you want because of the level issue. Like you can't, go to level like 30, monsters when you're like level 5, obviously. But I mean, the world is beautiful. Like it is huge. It is huge. It is huge. I will say this though. The most fun in this game with the gameplay part are all the contracts. Now back then, I actually did all the back in 2015, I did all the contracts. Same here. The contract with the gameplay, that's the best part of like the gameplay aspect. Fighting these big ass monsters, right? Now Geralt, I was the main character, Ciri, the daughter, and Yen and Triss, which is, By the way, I obviously chose, not obviously, but I did chose Triss. Here's why. In my first playthrough, I chose Yen, and I kind of fucked up. I did both, honestly. But I chose more Yen in the end. But my ending was, when they both come to you and like, whatever. Like, basically, if you choose Yen only, you get Yen. If you choose Triss only, you get Triss. If you try to choose both, you get neither. That's not a spoiler. That's like good to know, actually. Just so you know, right? yeah, so the story is great. I got basically all the best, like because I played it before. I did the best ending, best everything. There's some small choices I made that's like this and that in the game that I might regret, but other than that, the story is absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend it. My choices were basically just as good as they get. That's what I wanted for this playthrough with Triss, obviously with Triss. So I did her routes. I did all side missions, obviously 100% of it, all achievements on Steam. Very, very, very good story with amazing characters. Now, something I didn't do in 2015 I did do now. It's Gwent. Now they have easy, normal, hard mode. Only for Gwent. You can change it when you want. So you can play the entire game on the hardest difficulty, which I did, and that helped with the gameplay. You have to strategize and fix a bit. But there's a big but. Gwent, when I put it on easy, and I actually for the first maybe 10-15 hours, I learned to play Gwent. I actually learned, got some cards. It is addicting. It is so addicting that I played every single NPC in the game, and in all the DLCs, and I get all the cards, the full deck, everything. That's how addicted I was to the Gwent game. Back then I was like, what is this shit game card or whatever. But now it's like I can't get out of it because my deck is so strong. I feel like even on hard, now I went from easy to normal to just playing on hard, and I just still win matches. There are a few times where I don't calculate what the other person has, and I lose the match. But that makes it more fun because I can switch things around in my deck, or maybe even change decks, and then play it again. So I love Gwent. I absolutely love Gwent. Now a lot of people ask, should you play this game in 2023? With the next gen patch, yeah. With this new patch, it is incredible. I will say ray tracing is broken. It seems that there is a big patch coming next week, so end of this month, 25th, 26th, something like that. It should come a big patch to fix the ray tracing issues, at least on PC. On consoles, the game seems to crash sometimes, which is weird. So if you've not played it, you want to start it, you can start right now. The patch is coming next week, or like this week, whatever you want to watch it. End of 2023 January, basically. Now, that's the main game, right? So I beat the main game all about level 37 or something, which is you don't have to because I did all the side stuff. Now let's get into something I really want to talk about. It's actually, here's the crazy part, right? The best story of this game is Heart and Stone. Heart and Stone is basically 80% story. There's not much side content. You do it in the same map. Everything is still in the same map. However, there's a big however. The villain and story, just the pure main story of Heart and Stone, is the best of Witcher 3. I forgot how good this was. I only beat it once in 2016. That's it. But man, the villain and the story is very different from the main game. The villain, without spoiling, is maybe not what you think it is, especially like towards the last mission. You're like, how? Like it's not a classic boss fight, which is I like. Like you sorry, you basically beat the villain in a way where like it's not a classical boss fight. If you beat him, that is. I mean, you have to make choices. You have to. That's also a thing. You can't fail. You definitely can't fail. The biggest comparison to me from the first time I did it, I actually did the best ending here. Just the first time, which I'm so happy about. I didn't have to replay or anything like that. Highly, highly, highly recommend playing Heart and Stone DLC. Which is, well, no, why shouldn't you? By the way, yeah, when people say the DLCs are better than the main game, when I think about it, it is, because the main game has all these, not issues, but like, the pacing can be off with the story, and sometimes where like the DLCs just, they learn from it, which is why I think Cyberpunk's DLC or expansion is going to be better than the main game. Because if you looked at the two DLCs here, that's better than the main game. It actually is. Now let's get into something that for the first time I actually played this month, or this past week. 100%ed Blood and Wine, did everything in there. The base game has everything from the ground up, right? You do the story, you do everything, you get to know the Witcher 3. Base game, I feel like, is a solid 9 out of 10, okay? With Heart and Stone, it's a 9.5 because the story is incredible. However, Blood and Wine has the best map, has a brand new map that you're in, right? Like Novigrad or, Skillicay, or just like a brand new map you go to, and you're there the entire time. You don't ever have to leave to do any other mission. You're just in a new map. The map is beautiful, especially with HDR. Like, I feel bad for people who don't use HDR on PC. Like, man, it is beautiful. It is. The graphics are amazing. I played in 4K high settings, no ray tracing. Got about 80 to 100 FPS. It dropped down to 16 at times, which is fine. You know what is, whatever. But I feel like Blood and Wine is like Witcher 3.5, where like the side missions are the best. The main missions, I would say the main storyline, the mission structure are the best, but the story itself is still better in Heart of Stone. Where like what you do in this mission, the bosses and stuff like that are the best. Same thing with the Witcher contracts, they are so good. The side missions are so good. Like there was like a side mission I did within the bank. It was not like nothing like killing or anything. You just had one fight. There was a bank mission. It was like so funny. You just walk around the bank, get annoyed, just like a regular bank, in the real life. But it was just so random because the side missions in this game, like you don't expect them to go a certain way sometimes, which makes them fun. That's actually what makes them very fun. Blood and Wine, I played it. Got the worst ending on Thursday, and I was like, luckily they always warn you. This is the last mission. Make a manual save. I did that, and I was like, I can't do this. After we played the whole last 3 hours, and I did that, got the best ending. It is very like my ending, what I got, versus the ending that I got after that, the best ending, the worst ending, and the best ending, huge differences. Now, I did do a specific ending for an achievement. It's like, I feel like my ending was still the worst, the first one I got, because it was like, it's basically one of those things where like nothing good comes out, and the best ending is like everything good comes out. In a way, it depends on your perspective. I'm not gonna spoil what I did, but if you play Witcher 3, Blood and Wine, there's only one, perfect ending. Blood and Wine, just like I said, feels like Witcher 3.5. It is fantastic. Should you now, in the end, is the game worth it? Obviously, if you can find on discount, there's a PS5 disc coming out. Same with Series X. There's a Series X disc coming out. There's a free upgrade. If you haven't played this game in all these years later, is it worth it? Yeah. For me, the biggest part was the gameplay, which you do get used to. But like I said, the gameplay part is the worst part of this game this year. Like all these years later, that was the main reason I never came back to Blood and Wine. I was like, I'm level 30 something on PS4, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't remember. So I feel like if you're like me, if you maybe beaten the main game once and never played DLCs, I still think you should maybe even try to do everything again, because you have to learn everything again, especially if you're playing like in 7, 6, 5 years, whatever. So yeah. Now final verdict. I would say this is my favorite RPG with Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 is very hard to beat, right? If I had to rate the main game, it's 9. If I had to rate the Heart and Stone DLC, it becomes like a strong 9, like a 9.5-ish, something like that. But Blood and Wine was just so good. It like, I can't help but just appreciate this game as one of the best RPGs, right? It's definitely up there with Mass Effect 2. So with Blood and Wine, it is a 10 out of 10. Like with Blood and Wine changed my perspective of this game forever, basically. Because when I beat Witcher 3, the main game, I still think it wasn't a masterpiece to me. Not still, right? Even though I loved it, characters were there, but man, Blood and Wine really changed a lot. That was my review. Hopefully it wasn't too long. Make sure to do the like the video if you're still here. Thank you so much for watching the whole video, and that's it. My next video will be something I don't know, but we will see. We will see. Man, by the way, time-wise, over 200 hours. It took me like over 4 weeks to play. This game, now I'm playing Death's Door, and I need something smaller, if that makes sense. Some indie games until Dead Space Remake, which I will review Dead Space Remake, one way or another. I can't wait for Dead Space Remake. Yeah, see you guys in the next video.